Okay, so Gödel, he says religions.
Your pronunciation of which,
are
by
bad.
the way, is spot on.
My German is expansive.
I don't know that I can. I don't even know what sound that is.
Wortman.
Gödel.
That's my background.
Gödel.
Yeah, Gödel. So Gödel's opinion. You share it? Religions are for the most part bad. Religion is good, or you disagree with it?
I share the first part of it. I think religions, what people do to the idea of faith is what can be bad at times. I don't know that the idea of faith in itself is necessarily bad or good.
Okay.
So I might quibble with his second one.
Yeah.
To me, the idea of believing in what you can't see. I mean, it just depends how you
what you mean by religions.
Faith, right? If you define faith or religion or whatever you're going for.
So how about if I ask it this way? Religions on the whole have been bad or good for the world?
Religions on the whole, or
religions on the whole have been bad or good for the world?
Both,
Both. Okay.
It's hard for me to say.
Religion
on the whole. Both.
Okay, both. So probably not quite in agreement with the way Gödel said this. He, of course, actually provided a proof for God's existence, which is interesting. In his notes, he provides a proof.
That would be helpful to pull up.
Yes, he was, and it has not really gotten much traction.
Surprising.
Like the greatest logician, of that, as people say anyway, the people who are really smart say, maybe since Aristotle, because of his incompleteness theorem, and you get into his proof for God's existence, and it's all like calculus.
Well, he did some.
It's math.
He did some real smart things in math that no one else could do. So I'm sure somebody's looked at it.
Yes,
but,
they have.
Descartes was a pretty smart guy too, and he didn't get very far with that.
So when you see a proof for God's existence that involves mathematical equations, you think, hey, that's something I would really take more seriously if we could prove God through these math problems, or does it more feel like not a chance that we're going to know God?
It feels like not a chance that's going to be the way that we crack this code. If it happened, there's a lot of things that in the world, in science and math, that I never would have expected. Some of Gödel's other work, I never would have expected that.
True.
That
a lot of crazy
math,
pure mathematics.
Yeah, could be fuzzy.
Ends up finding a home.
I never would have expected quantum physics. I never, so a lot of things I wouldn't have expected. So if that happens, if we prove God mathematically, then I'm all ears.
But even
but that's gonna. I'm not gonna be able to read his proof. So it's gonna need a high level of consensus before I'm really even gonna listen. So
that's the problem.
Nobody's gonna really sign on to that level of thinking. I mean, I would be surprised if it got a lot of traction, because. How many people in the world can understand it? Probably.
Right.
Maybe he's right. Maybe he has proved that God exists and no one knows.
So Gödel probably, like Einstein, attracted to the idea of God as providing foundation for rational thinking. A sense of confidence that reason really does lead us to truth. It seems like that's what probably motivated him toward that
makes sense.
idea. And for you, does that, for you personally, does the sort of ultimate sense of order, not design, the sort of design argument, but just, the fact that our minds have this really bizarre ability to grab hold of the universe and understand it in any way, and even in highly complex mathematical ways, it doesn't seem like that's all just in our head. It seems like it's intrinsic in the actual.
Yeah, it does.
In nature.
And I might not have let you finish your question, but if you're asking if I would like to understand why we have that, yes. And do I believe that we have that? Yes.
Also, God might come, meaning there might be something attractive about God in that kind of context.
Yeah, and I think God would be a potential way to answer that, and I would like to find some way to answer that. And then if you're asking if the fact that we have that makes me think there must be a God, then obviously no. But I admit that it's a potential explanation for it. I just don't believe that we have to go to that one immediately.
Sure.
From that.
And what would be another one? Any?
I don't have a good one.
Okay. Fair answer.
I am very happy to say to just claim ignorance on that,
No,
because
it's totally fine.
I do believe that there is not really a skeptical leg to stand on with that, because of the fact that if you take the very base materialist arguments, you just get evolution may or may not have a preference for our logic to be correct, or may be more beneficial to our evolution to believe absurd things about our own competency or our ability to lead a country, or I don't know. I digress.
Yes. All right. So if God is a delusion of some kind, delusion of some kind, then isn't this, potentially something not good from your perspective? Or are you, comfortable with the noble lie concept of Plato, which is where, leaders, people who have to manage whole cities and governments, nations, and so on, there are times where you just think, I mean, if religion helps people keep in line,
No,
then
that's the noble
I'm
lie.
okay cultivating certain ideologies that I don't subscribe to, but it does keep the cattle in line. It keeps them from murdering one another, and I'm comfortable with even maybe subscribing to some degree of this noble lie, like the ancient Roman emperors. Many of them probably didn't have much of a belief system, but they certainly tried to keep order in society by promoting the civic duties of religion. So are you okay with that noble lie sort of thing, or do you think, no, this may be more of a problem, that people believe something that just isn't true, and I think it'd be better to just sort of get that truth out there, come hell or high water to what it does to society. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Even if it means the end of us all. No, so I bristle at the idea of the noble lie. I do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just don't feel like that makes any sense. And I also feel like, all of the philosophy and theology and the time that smart people spend on this question, if we could come to a decision, we could put these minds to work at something else. So there's that too.
Sure.
I think I personally like to have an answer almost come what may, and just move forward with that.
Sure.
But I'm not going to say that nothing good has ever happened because people have believed in God. I think you're right. I think it has had, but and then the skeptic atheist argument would be, well, that's why we got it, is because people wanted to keep the cattle in line and keep subdue the masses.
And obviously there's been a lot of evil as resulted as well from people who believe in God and think God is telling them to do evil things.
So on the flip side, you think, well, if we could just be done with it altogether, we would get rid of that too. So I think we'd probably lose some good if God was disproven tomorrow. We'd probably lose some good things that have come along with it. We'd probably lose some evil things as well. And I think I say just, for the most part, let the chips fall where they may, and we'll just have to figure out how to move forward from there.